Welcome to We Are Soccer, the show that talks about pro soccer, youth soccer, and everything in between. I'm your host, Craig Hearn. All right, domestic leagues are on a break. That can only mean one thing. It's international games. Not just any international games, it's World Cup qualifying games. So some big games have happened over the past week here, and there's still a few more to come. Most international teams are playing between 2 and 3 games during this domestic break. We will focus today on the U.S. men's national team and how they did in El Salvador and the games they have coming up. What else do we have on today's show, you might ask? All right, so besides that point that the U.S. men's national team got in El Salvador, Mbappe and Haaland went nowhere during the transfer window. Ronaldo gets the number 7 shirt at Man Utd with a little bit of controversy. And a lot more. We've got a lot to talk about in this week's edition of We Are Soccer, so make sure you stick around for the entire show. Right off the bat, big thank you to our friends and sponsors who've been with us since day one. Detroit City FC, Michigan Jaguars FC, Tim Merritt with Ross Mortgage, and Next Level Training. Thank you guys, thank you friends, really appreciate the love that you have shown. Nate is on vacation this week, so for you folks who've joined in to watch Nate, his big biceps and his dry, witty humor, I apologize, he's not here. He will be back next week, provided his wife gives him permission to join us. So we do have today one of my very good friends, one of my favorite soccer people here in the state of Michigan. Absolutely love playing soccer with this guy and bumping into him around the fields. Making his very first appearance on We Are Soccer. Please welcome my good friend Mo Hijazi. Mo, welcome, buddy.
Hey, Craig. How are you? How's it going?
Man. Thank you for joining us. Very much appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. I know you do so much training and playing, and you got a busy schedule, my friend.
Thanks for having me, and I got to say big shout out to Nate Janulis. So I know he's got big shoes here to fill, and it's interesting because we play on the same over 30 team, and he scored a goal last weekend. Yeah, so everybody would like to know. Yeah, he scored a goal last weekend, and obviously he celebrates in big ways. So, headed out on vacation. So
only Nate, only Nate. Well, my friend, you actually you did me a huge favor there. You just led us right into shout-outs, because shout-out to Nate, who scored a goal in his game last week.
Beautiful goal.
He always lets me know, too. He texts me. I'm pretty sure he gets subbed off right away and texts me, hey, I just scored a goal. All right, cool, Nate. How you guys doing? Well, we're down 2-1. All right, we'll get back in the game and score some more goals, buddy.
Yeah, he didn't get subbed out this time, but that's because we had no subs. So
that'll do it. Also, big shout out to longtime friend of the show, Casey. She is retiring from the Birmingham Police Force. Casey, thank you for all the years of service in the Birmingham Police Force, and good luck with motherhood. She's retiring because new mother. Also, Casey's an awesome soccer player, by the way. She can dominate at the net 9 position. So anyway, shout out to Casey. All right, let's jump right in. Lots to talk about this week. We're going to go with World Soccer News, brought to you by Tim Merritt with Ross Mortgage. If you're looking for a new mortgage, if you're looking to refinance, make sure you call Tim Merritt with Ross Mortgage. He'll get you set up, and probably also talk your ear off about soccer. And who doesn't love that? All right, as we talked about, EPL, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, they're all on domestic. Those domestic leagues are all on break due to World Cup qualifying. The U.S. men's national team played their first Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifying game this past week, earning a point in El Salvador. The field was terrible. The fans were typical Central American, South American type fans. The police had riot gear in the corners. It was one of those games. The ball was bouncing everywhere. It was a hostile environment. But a point against El Salvador, I personally am not happy with that. What are your thoughts, Mo?
Yeah, I think first game of a important game. First game of whether it's a World Cup group stage game or any tournament, for that matter. I think it's a feeling out process sometimes.
Yep.
And so I could see that for the most part in some of the tactical play that happened, I guess. So that was something that kind of jumped out at me, which was try to be on the front foot, but at the same time don't give too much away. and so I think it created the type of game we saw, which
I could definitely tell there was a feeling out process in the first 10 or 15 minutes. Kind of a sit back, feel out, let's see how it goes. Both teams, you kind of feel each other out, right? Because it's a big game. The first game, World Cup qualifying. But then I expected the USA to really push forward. I expected them to really put their foot down and go, we've got players who play at the highest levels of the sport. You know, Barcelona, Juventus, English Premier League for Norwich, where Sargent plays. We've played in the Nations League. We've played in the Nations League final, in the Gold Cup final. We've got players in this squad who can put our foot down. And as I like to say, kind of just grab the game by the scuff of the neck, right? Just grab the game and let's dominate here. And I kept waiting for that to happen, and it just never happened for me. And it just, by the time I realized it wasn't going to happen, it was about the 70-minute mark, and I went, this is just going to play out to a 0-0 draw and be the way it is. I don't know. I had an argument with some friends this week. They said, it's a point earned. You're away from home, the first game World Cup qualifying. It's a very hard place to go, and it's a point. A very well point when we move on. A very good point when we move on. And I said, it's 2 points dropped for me because now we got Canada coming up, and Canada are actually really good. That game's on Sunday. And then we got Honduras 3 days later in Honduras. So you kind of, if we would have gotten all 3 points in that game, I would just feel so much better about what happened about this. So I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Is it a point dropped?
Yeah.
Is it 2 points dropped? A point earned? What's your thoughts?
Well, it's twofold. One, it's trying to get in the head of the coach and understanding Berhalter and what he's thinking in those moments is, like I said, maybe a conservative approach towards the bigger picture in terms of how many points and making sure that you don't come out with nothing. At the end of the day, though, for me, it's about the long-term approach, the long-term picture, which is, to your point, which is, can we be on the front foot, especially against teams that we're stronger than? Yeah. Can we then dissect that even further into the tactics of the game? Are we able to really go for it sometimes and throw numbers forward in the attack, knowing that we may leave some things behind? And I don't know how deep we're going to get into this conversation, but when you look at the makeup of the two teams, especially the younger dynamic of our roster, I think there are times when our ability to maybe be able to protect those moments by going forward could have served us better. So throwing guys like Yedlin, a little bit more, I guess, proactive in the attacks. And so there's some profiles of players that we have, and obviously just missing Pulisic, who can single-handedly kind of break down the opposition. So in the back of the mind, it's like, okay, well, we're going to get Pulisic here down the road. Do we just kind of, sit in a little bit more conservatively in this game, approach the game from that perspective, and yet, like you said, still leave things on the table. So for me, dictating the tempo of the game just wasn't there. And from a style of play perspective, there are some concerns. When you go against the Mexicos of the world, where you're going to have to take the sting out of the game by keeping possession of the ball sometimes and trying to find ways through, through these opponents that we're going to face in tough environments, or do you face these transitional type games when it's kind of like a helter-skelter back and forth, and
that's the way it was. It seemed like it was up and down, it was back and forth. There was a lot of turnovers, a lot of misplayed passes. I question the lineup right off the bat. I'm not a fan of Tim Ream. He's kind of older, he's kind of slower. He got burned pretty badly in the Nations League final. Yes, Miles Robinson was next to him to help out, but then there's also DeAndre Yedlin, on the right. And I understand Yedlin. He's quick. He can get up and down. He can swing a nice ball, and he's been into some big games. Tim Ream, I think, is out of place at this point. Wasn't even the captain on the night. So for me, from the start, the lineup just wasn't quite where it needed to be. Seemed to be a 4-3-3. And like you said, we didn't dictate the pace. We've got those players, Aronson, Weston McKennie, Serginho Dest, Reyna, and Sargent as the true nine there. We've got those players in there who've played in big games who should be able to help dictate the pace, but they didn't. And it just seemed... I expected more. I expected more, one from Reyna and Sargent. For two players right off the bat, I don't want to call them out, but those two players I expected more from. When they get the ball, I expect them to do something. Sargent, big money transfer to Norwich in the EPL. He's played 2 or 3 games in the EPL now. He's been playing in the Bundesliga. He knows how to play. Reyna, I get that he's only 18, but he's played in big games. He plays alongside Erling Haaland. He knows how to play this game. He's better than what he showed. Every time he got the ball, he never seemed to run at anybody. He kind of cut back, and they wanted to play this nice passing game, and that field really didn't allow for it. And there was a lot of turnovers.
Right. I saw a statistic about Aronson completing 5 passes in the first half, and you're talking about a central midfielder. And when you have moments like that, I mean, look, at the end of the day, for me, when I'm looking at the setup, I'm looking at the spine of a team, how strong you are, and then, what type of mobility do you have amongst that group. And when you complete 5 passes in a half, Sargent, for the work rate he gives you, what type of mobility does he have to still impact the game without the ball? Right. You being a striker, myself being a striker, it's that thing that we look, that quality that we look in a player. So then you're creating those spaces for the Reynas of the world. Yep. And then you start thinking about, well, are we getting our outside backs involved in the game a little bit more? Again, I know, Roldan is playing and you have some quality on the other side that you have to account for. But again, can you, play defense by playing attack? Right. And so those are some of the things that I see are going to be some issues, down the road. Because again, I try to take a bigger, when you're talking about competing with world powers, you got to ask yourself, what's around the corner.
Right. And we all know FIFA rankings are, for lack of a better term, just crap. They're garbage. They're not very good. But the USA is ranked 10th, and they should be ranked maybe not 10th, but in that top 20. El Salvador, no matter where you slice it, El Salvador is not ranked anywhere close to that. So, and as you said, Mo, Christian Pulisic was missing. Zach Steffen was missing. Those are 2 leaders who've played in really big games in the last couple of years. So there's some experience missing there. But with the lineup we had, you're right. I also question why Kellen Acosta wasn't playing. He's played in every big game this summer for the U.S. men's national team. And all of a sudden we get to the World Cup qualifying, we switch it up, and he's sitting on the bench and doesn't come in until the last 15 minutes. When he did come in, I thought he dictated the game and helped dictate the game, a little bit more and helped get us up. He got the ball and got it wide and got up. He actually got up and had one of those half chances. I think overall the USA had 3 to 4 half chances, nothing solid, but he had one of those half chances. As that defensive midfielder, it looked like we switched it up. Maybe for the last 15, 20 minutes we switched it up to a straight 4-4-2. I just question why he wasn't in the starting lineup.
The other thing to add is, from a coach's perspective, when you're preparing these moments, you're also thinking about squad rotation. They've got 2 games coming up, right? Quick turnaround sometimes as well. So probably thinking about that. You may see some tweaks, to your point. You may see him start the next game as the load of the players is kind of taken into account heading into these next few games. So
that's a great point, and that's why I sit here and you're a coach. That's an absolutely great point, because the games that are coming up here, Canada at home here. So we play Canada at Nissan Stadium in Tennessee, 8 o'clock Sunday evening, and then 3 days later at Honduras, 10 p.m. On Wednesday. So you're right. The games, maybe Greg Berhalter's doing exactly what you said, thinking about those games that are coming up.
And it's interesting when you were watching the tube there, when you see them focus in on Berhalter. At one point in I think it was the tail end of the first half, he was really trying to get his players a step, the back line a step, and you could see a little bit more dictating defensively of trying to press El Salvador when they were playing through their goalkeeper, and you could see they rattled them a little bit. Yeah. And I was wondering, as I was watching parts of the game, which were, can we do that a little bit more? Can we press the ball up the field? Can we dictate defensively, maybe a little bit more, disrupt them a little bit more to create? But it just never materialized. But again, you do take into consideration the style and the points that they're looking to get out of a game, and maybe on the heels of a Canada game, a Honduras game, which is going to be really interesting midweek. So
you're absolutely right. So I still, after talking about it, I still feel it's 2 points dropped. I don't like it's a point earned away from home. I think it's 2 points dropped. I think we could have taken advantage of the situation and really got all 3 points and really been in a good spot. But There were a lot of other teams this week who dropped points as well. So I want to read off some notable World Cup qualifying scores for you. France 1-1 against Bosnia-Herzegovina. That game was a very interesting game. France took a red card in the middle of the first half, and that kind of set the tone there. So they dropped points. Sweden beat Spain 2-1. So I'm on a few betting apps. I saw there were a lot of people who had Spain winning this game. I stayed away from it because Sweden are a lot stronger than a lot of people thought. So Spain started off World Cup qualifying with 0 points. Italy, Euro champions, tied Bulgaria 1-1. Dropped points. Bulgaria, not exactly a world powerhouse, dropped points for Italy. Canada and Honduras, 1-1. So they both pick up a point. I think that's dropped points for Canada. But, it is what it is. Mexico beat Jamaica 2-1, so they are topping the group right now in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. And another score to throw in there, England 4, Hungary 0. We'll talk about that one in a little bit more. So, yeah, I still feel it's 2 points dropped. But as we just read these scores off here, there's other teams that have dropped points, and it's only game one. Long way to go, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Anytime you're starting a season or starting a competition, there's room there for a lot of ebbs and flows until you kind of stabilize your team and feel like you're in the best shape possible with your lineups.
Exactly. I do want to kind of just make sure everybody's aware this is World Cup qualifying. The World Cup is in 2022, December of 2022 in Qatar. This will be the first time and probably the last time the World Cup will be played in the winter. It's being played in the winter because it's in Qatar, and in the middle of the summer in Qatar it gets up to about 120 degrees, and that's not safe for the players, so they've moved it to December. December 2022, that's what these games are leading up to. And I will say, just so we're all on the same page, if you're asking why the World Cup is in Qatar, it's because they bought it. Good job, FIFA. So, all right. So, Mo, obviously talking to you there about some of the tactics of the game and the lineups. Why don't we talk about you a little bit and how you've gotten to this point? So why don't we get to know you a little bit? And I want to read off this. There's a lot here, so hold on here, guys. All right, so Mo Hijazi is a Dearborn Jags and DSC director, USSFA youth license holder, NSCAA Advanced National and DOC Diploma, U.S. National Youth Certificate, the Liga 1 Certificate, and a former college player at Eastern Michigan University. There's a reason that a lot of us consider you a soccer brain and one of the smartest players on the field when you step on the field. You've been through a lot of these classes. You've got a lot of these certifications. You've played the game at a high level. It seems like soccer's all you do, right? I mean, that's your thing, and it shows, and it's awesome, man.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How many teams are you coaching? What do you do on your day-to-day basis? How's your week look? Give us a little bit of insight.
Yeah, so I'm in Dearborn. That's where I grew up. I played soccer for the Dearborn Soccer Club growing up from the age of 9 till literally after graduating from high school. Stayed with the same group of guys playing. And, just 6-7 years ago, Dearborn was looking for a director. They wanted to kind of try to improve the environment for soccer players, and that was my background. I was doing other things and was offered a position to come in and try to help. And so I was coaching just a few younger teams and found myself in the seat. 7 years later, I played at Eastern. Back in the day, there was a program there, and Coach Brian Tinian and Coach Paul Tinian at the time also was there. He's my executive director, so we had some conversations. Came to Dearborn and been coaching, but more importantly, I have a role of operations, director of operations in Dearborn. So just trying to just create this. In my head was like a soccer movement in our community, not just Dearborn but the surrounding areas, and just give a platform for players, give them a pathway to want to have their passion for the game that we have, because Dearborn is known as a really diverse cultural blending of so many different ethnicities, and soccer it's in our blood similar to your background. And so, that's kind of where we started. And 7 years later, now I coach, obviously through COVID, I was coaching a lot more. This year I'm coaching one team, but more or less just trying to help, our club along and try to help players. And like I said, provide a platform for them to be successful and pursue it however they want to go in the game. How far.
And it's a shame, I just want to hit up on a point there. It's a shame Eastern Michigan don't have a men's team anymore. It's a real shame because you guys were a force. I remember back in the late 90s before they cut the program, you guys were a hell of a program, man. And it's because they had guys like yourself and oh man, some of the names that were on that team in the late 90s. You guys were just a squad of players, man, and it's a shame. I don't know. Eastern Michigan, get your stuff together. There's so many players that are coming through Michigan, the state of Michigan right now. You would have a phenomenal program. You could be in the top 25 every single year if you just had a men's soccer program. So it's a real shame. You do a lot of work with the Jags. Like you said, you've been there for 7 years now. Still enjoying it, still loving it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a great organization.
It's awesome, and the Eastern Michigan days really connected a lot of us. Like Pete Pizzoski and I played together at Eastern. He's the technical director for our club now. So there's a lot of other connections throughout other clubs as well, just from that Eastern program. But yeah, I love it.
Tinney's awesome as well, right?
Paul. Yep.
Man, he's one of the hardest people to get a hold of. He's so busy, man. So busy.
Yeah.
All right. So that's youth soccer. You do a lot in the youth soccer. Let's talk about some pro soccer stuff. Who's your favorite pro team, man?
So, growing up, a lot of, it wasn't like it is now. Soccer's not on TV all the time, back in the day. So, I'm Lebanese. That's where I was born. I came here when I was really young. And so, honestly, in the 90s, we had a video store down in Dearborn, and they'd get a lot of VHS tapes from back home. And my dad, who was like a soccer junkie as well, and he would just go give me these tapes. So, my heart is with one of the teams back home in Lebanon. They're called Nijmeh, and so that's a club that I really like, kind of just like in my blood. But outside of that, Real Madrid is someone who I took to. But more or less, the national teams, Brazil was kind of like my thing, and then Manchester United, right around I would say the early 2000s, after they won the treble and things like that became a little bit more kind of my team. So Real Madrid, Manchester United, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Man United, you find a lot of guys our age, and we're very similar in age. A lot of guys our age gravitated towards Man United because in the early 2000s they did have those iconic players. They had the David Beck and the Paul Scholes, obviously coached by Sir Alex Ferguson. So a lot of people gravitated towards that team, those players. So yeah, not unusual for me to hear that on the show. A Man United fan. All right, give me your favorite pro players. Like I've got 2 or 3 players who I, over the course of my life, just whenever I see something in a headline, I got to read the article. Whenever I see a clip, I got to watch that full clip. Give me 2 or 3 players that you just like. Those are the guys I love.
Well, my heart was always with Pele. Atzinarentes de Nascimento, Pele was my guy kind of coming up, and then obviously following Diego Maradona. And then just looking at the 90s World Cup, which is kind of more like the most freshest early moment for me. I remember Roberto Baggio coming on the scene at that time. I remember Scalacci, who scored the most goals in the World Cup in 1990. It's the reason I wear number 19.
There you
it's kind of stuck with me, from those days. And then as you went through the 90s, it was Zidane, Ronaldo phenomenon, who was unbelievable, and I try to mimic a lot of the things that he would do on the field, including those shoes that he wore.
Did you have those shoes? Tell me you had those shoes.
I didn't. I went to buy them, and they were so expensive. And at the time, the silver and blues, and
we say expensive. They were like $100. now $100 for those shoes is cheap.
Those things were sick, but I couldn't pull the trigger on them. So I stuck to my copas. Used to take the tongue out really, really far in my laces, and so I think I saw the Nigerian national team do that at the World Cup, and so that was kind of my thing. But
the funny things we pick up. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. Give me your top 5 players all time. Like, give me your number 1 through number 5. Like, no, it doesn't matter position, doesn't matter era. These are the 5 guys this is it. These are the 5 I think are the best ever to play the game. Give me 5.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Pele, with Maradona, for sure. Leo Messi, for sure. And then I think Ronaldo phenomenon. Here's the thing, right? Like, you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's got this longevity, and we're living in the moment. So for me though, like, if I was to take a period of time and just say this player was just absolutely dominant and just something that I hadn't really seen, I would say Ronaldo. I would put Zidane in there, and then just being more of like a student of the game and watching older players play, like Johan Cruyff and Marco van Basten and some of these guys as well.
Yeah.
I feel like those are some of the top guys. Yeah. Would I put Cristiano Ronaldo in my top 5? No, but he's not far off.
No, I agree. I think he creeps into my top 5, but
yeah.
But
who's your 5?
So I go Messi.
Okay.
Messi number 1. Yep. I don't think there's ever been a better player, a better soccer brain in the world. Yep. He's 5'6" and just phenomenal. So Messi 1. I go Ronaldo phenomenon. I absolutely love Brazilian Ronaldo. He was the man. And then I go Zidane. Zidane was just a hell of a player, and some of the things he could do on a field, the vision he had, absolutely phenomenal. And then the one that you don't hear very often, I go George Best with 4.
Yeah.
Just stud of a soccer player, just so good for his time. Just retired early, and there were other things in his life he wanted to focus on. And then I come back to Ronaldo. And yes, I know Maradona is missing from that list. I've been questioned on that before. Yeah. I also don't like the hand of God, so he gets deducted points with that because England went down on that. So.
Well, and it's also like the Jordan LeBron conversation. Yeah. For me, it's a non-conversation. It's always be Jordan. Mm-hmm. It's just LeBron has this huge body of work too that's out in front of him. Playing for so many years, but yeah.
Yep. That's awesome. All right, now I just want to chat about for a few minutes here. Give me some of the best Metro Detroit soccer players you've played with and around. I mean, we did. I think it was show number 3. I had Scott Emmert and Sammy Pirani, 2 legends of the game in Metro Detroit, and we for about 30 minutes just talked about guys in the Metro Detroit area who have just been legends of the game. Your name was in there. There was a lot of others. Give me a couple players that you're like, I played with that guy, or I've seen him play, or I know him. Who are players in the state of Michigan, man? Over the years.
Over the years,
could be, and they could still be playing right now. They could be youth players now. If you're like, this kid's gonna be it, and he goes in my top 5.
Yeah. So mind you, I came up in the '90s. I graduated in '94 from Dearborn High, and I was a '76 kid. I did train with the Wolves '76 group, which was legit. Tino Cicluna, Adam Hunter, those guys. Paul Snape,
Coach at Butler now.
Yeah, Coach at Butler. That guy was legit. Some of the guys outside of that I recall. I played with Drew Drummond. He was like one of my all-time favorite players, under the radar. I think a little bit played with the Bucks. Yep. So he was a legit guy, and then obviously being from Dearborn, Suni Saad. Yep. Got a chance to play with him, but play against him, and he's still he's killing it. He's just played in an Asian qualifier for Lebanon the other day in their draw. So he's he was legit. Yep. There's a couple guys that have come through that most people may not know that played for the national team back home, and so there's some foreigners that were legit.
Yeah.
Ahmed Zrik, he played for the national team back home, and so there would be some of the guys, and then as I guess got older and started watching some other guys, Simone from played for the Bucks. Makande was a really good player as well. So there's some of the guys that come to mind.
Yeah, all right, man.
Sam Pirani, stud.
I mean, you're still, when you step on a soccer field, you're still one of the best players on the field because of the soccer brain you have. I think you've lost a step. I hate to tell you, you've lost a little step, but man, you've more than made up for it with that soccer brain you got.
No, thank you.
And it is so fun to play with you on the field.
Oh, you as well. Right?
Oh, no, I don't get put in that list. No, I don't get put in that list.
You make it a lot easier because you stretch the field so well.
I don't. When we play against 50-year-old guys now, it's not that hard. And I've been asked, but I know the answer. But you're definitely heading back to Florida in January, right? To get our title back for the Bullets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That one stings still a little bit. I don't know how much people know. Losing in the final, 2-1 last year, but it was a blast. Good group of guys, good players. Wow, what a group of players.
So we, just so people are aware, Mo and I play on an over 40 team here in Metro Detroit, and we do a little bit of traveling around the country and play some games. And man, just some of the guys who 20 years ago were absolute studs and legends of the game. Now we're on team together having fun, and it's 50% about the soccer and 50% about just hanging out and having fun,
the banter, and for sure,
the camaraderie, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, we could go all day about legends of the game in Metro Detroit and about your game, but I think we got a lot of other stuff to get to.
For sure.
All right. So other big news that came down this week, and we'll talk about. I like to call this one "No Soup for You," because Mbappe went nowhere and Haaland went nowhere. Big offers came in for both of them. Kylian Mbappe plays right now for PSG. There were offers from Real Madrid for him, 200 million euros. There were 3 offers. One, I think the first one was 180 million. The second one was 200 million. And the third one was reportedly around 215 million euros from Real Madrid for Kylian Mbappe. And PSG said no. No, we're good. No, we don't need to sell him. Even though 1 year from now, his contract expires and he can leave as a free agent and go anywhere he wants. So Real Madrid, no soup for you. You have to wait. I think we all know that Real Madrid will end up with Kylian Mbappe unless PSG can find a way to convince him to stay. It just doesn't look like Kylian Mbappe wants to stay at PSG. He's turned down 3 contract offers in the past 12 months. He wants out. His dream move, and I know a lot of players say their dream move is X, Y, and Z, whatever team it is. His dream move is to Real Madrid. So that will, in my mind, happen at the beginning of the summer next year. Erling Haaland stayed at Borussia Dortmund. There were rumors of big moves for him. It never happened. There was a reported £200 million or euro bid at the end of the window. Borussia Dortmund said, no, we are not selling him, even though next summer a clause in his contract kicks in and he can leave if an offer of 75 million euros comes in. So Borussia Dortmund going to lose a lot of money because I don't see Erling Haaland staying past this season. And I know you and I just talked a little bit about Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe are the next 2 heirs to those thrones, right? In your opinion, same thing? Those guys are just, they're going to be studs if they continue to the trajectory they're on right now. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's easy to see that they're going to impact whatever environment they're going to be in. It's just going to be a matter of the quality that surrounds them, and can they stay healthy? Free of injuries, that kind of thing, and then nothing's ever guaranteed or set in stone, but I feel like they will be successful in whatever moves they make.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, for being 19 and 20 years old, they've got a lot of years left. A soccer player doesn't hit his prime until the age of 27, so they got quite a few years before they actually hit their prime. 200 million euros for one of those players seems like a lot of money, but he's still got 5 to 6 years before his prime hits. So you got some, you're going to end up having to pay them a lot of money, but it seems like good business.
Yeah. And I think, the clubs are confident sometimes, or they hope to be confident in the ability to maybe lure a player to stay based on the environment over the course of the year. You even see it in other sports, in an NBA, and it's like, well, why don't you just trade this guy right now before you get, you lose him for it? And it's like, well, maybe we can just do something during the course of the year, have some success, and kind of get him to stay.
And that's exactly why these clubs held on to both these players. PSG obviously just acquired Lionel Messi. They still have Neymar there. Their ultimate goal is to make a run at that Champions League title this year. They want the Champions League title. Yep. They think with Kylian Mbappe they have a better, and obviously they do. With him, they have a better chance of winning than without him. So that's they're owned by an oil sheik who just throws money around like there's no like there's no tomorrow,
Right.
and it's his club. He can do whatever he want. Financial fair play is thrown out the window. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, honestly, they signed Messi on a free. They signed him to a huge contract, $35 million a year. But they've already made that in jersey sales. They made 90 million euros in jersey sales in the first week. So they've got enough money. They're going to sell more jerseys. They've got the money to keep Mbappe for a year and then lose him for free. It'll be a failure if they don't win the Champions League. Borussia Dortmund kept a hold of Erling Haaland because they want to win the Bundesliga and they also want to make a run at that Champions League title. So, yeah, and that's what it is. You hold on to the young players. They passed up on the money. These clubs passed on the money in order to win something.
Go for
with
it.
these guys.
They want to go for it this year.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. Good for those clubs.
Absolutely.
Pat on the back to them because money is something players like those are hard to come by. So.
Absolutely.
Some other quick news that's happened this week. Ronaldo played for Portugal and scored 2 goals. He is now the all-time leading goal scorer for international men's games with 110 goals. He has now been released by Portugal to go back to Manchester United. So he will not participate in the next 2 qualifiers for Portugal during this window. So he's gone back to England. One, because I believe COVID rules are still in effect. When you enter England, you have to quarantine for a couple of days. So he went back now. He's going to quarantine. He'll start training with the team, and then he'll be available for that first game, September 11th versus Newcastle. So that could see Ronaldo make his return to United on the field.
Yeah. Wow. What a move. The first thing that popped into my head when I heard the news was, one, it was a stop from Man City, from him obviously going to Man City, and then for me it was, this is kind of like a bigger than just coming into Man United to be this impactful player, which I think he'll still have, his relative impact on the team, but I think this might be bigger picture, post-playing career, what's next, what role may he take on from within the club. That's what popped into my head.
That's a great thought. That hadn't actually crossed my mind, that he's looking possibly to just get it back into the club that he loves and kind of grow within it and maybe do something afterwards. I originally thought he joined this club, Man United, one, because it's Man United and he played for them previously and loves them, but he thought he had a chance of winning with them. But I love that idea that there's something more involved after his career with them. So that's a great thought. Do you see Ronaldo starting 75 to 80% of the games this year for Man United? Because on a cold, wet Tuesday night, going to Stoke or Burnley, do you want to risk him in those games?
Right. Yeah. Just because of the makeup of his personality, I just can't see it being any other way in terms of a upfront conversation with Ole about it. So I do see him playing. I don't see him doing a ton of defensive work in the games that he participates in. I expect him to be hounding around the box, popping up in different areas, just like he did for Portugal. I mean, those 2 goals is just, relatively just being in the right place and then just using your physical presence. I mean, the guy's in phenomenal shape, but is he going to make defensive transitional runs to help you as a team? No, that's not going to happen. I'm sure this conversation has probably been had already, and I just can't see him with the type of personality he has and his, it's Ronaldo. Yeah. So I just don't see him taking a step back, which is interesting because what does that do for the stunting of some of the other players that might fill those positions? And that's
a Mason Greenwood, a Marcus Rashford, because those guys aren't going to. And Edison Cavani was convinced to come back and sign up for a year, so maybe his minutes are going to go down. And they still have Anthony Martial on the
I agree.
on the squad. So
I agree.
There's going to be players who don't make the 18 matchday squad and are going to get very upset. There could be 1 or 2 who try to leave in January.
I
so
agree.
United could cash in there.
Yep, I agree.
Something else interesting that happened with Ronaldo and Man United this week was Manchester United petitioned the FA, the English Football Association, to get the number 7 shirt switched from Cavani, who just played last week. against Wolves with that jersey, that number, to Ronaldo. So Ronaldo now has the number 7 jersey, so it is CR7. You knew that was going to happen. I don't think any other club in the Premiership could have convinced the FA to change the jersey number, because you're technically not allowed to change jersey numbers once the season starts. But they petitioned and the FA agreed, so now CR7 is back.
Yeah. The first thought there was, how much money did he pay to Cavani to get the number?
Yep.
And then number 2 was basically just it kind of tells you that maybe that there's a team spirit within the group, because as these conversations happen, it's Ronaldo, Cavani, I don't know his makeup, but it seems like there's a good spirit within the locker room right now. But like you said, it will be tested when guys aren't playing.
Yeah.
It's 11 guys playing, and the rest of the guys are hoping that they can be one of the. So that's when the true test will come, when there's adversity for players and team.
Yep. Agreed. All right. England, as we mentioned earlier, England played Hungary at Hungary in their first World Cup qualifying game and won 4-0. A very nice display from England, kind of dominating. Hungary almost threw a wrench into the works, the Euros for a lot of teams, but ultimately didn't get through the group stages, but are a very good team. England dominated 4-0 in Hungary. Unfortunately, the game was marred by some racial abuse towards some of the black players from England. The coach Gareth Southgate, after the game, said he did not hear or see the racial abuse personally, but he did hear about it. He said, unfortunately, it's a sad part of the game right now in that part of the world. This isn't verbatim, but his words were, most of the crowd and most of the fans and the people in this country that we've dealt with have been absolutely phenomenal. It just seems like there's a small little sect that wants to throw racial abuse at some of the players. So, I don't care if it's a small little piece or a big piece. It's got to stop. Soccer's a game for everybody. Every single week we seem to be talking about this, whether it's the Mexican fans, whether it's Hungary, whether it's got to stop. This is absolutely, it's 2021. These players deserve to be able to step on the field and play without any abuse and without anything like that. So FIFA hopefully will step up and do the right thing and kind of, this has got to leave our game. It absolutely has to leave our game. Another one that happened this week, Argentina beat Venezuela in their World Cup qualifying round 1. They have now taken their unbeaten streak to 21. They've played 21 games and they're unbeaten. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if we're going to, I don't know how long this streak will continue, but an absolutely phenomenal streak, and I don't think we're going to see this ever topped, to be honest. This will stand for a long, long time. Yeah, it's just
and that's coaching. Because when you look at national teams, it's probably one of the most challenging environments you have, because you're bringing players from all types of setups, styles of play, tactical philosophies, all of those things, and bringing all those guys together to be able to continually play with chemistry and perform and get results.
Yeah,
it's a true testament to the environment.
Yeah,
of the team.
And half the time coaching these days is not only coaching the game, but it's coaching the egos of the players. You've got in Argentina, you've got Messi, Angel Del Maria, Martinez in goal. You got some big names. So it's coach man management and getting those egos, getting the time right, and the coaching against the other squad of players. Obviously, the other team. A lot goes involved there. So you're right. As we talked about earlier, Sweden shocked Spain. Oh boy, we might never see them reach the heights that they've been at in the past, because I don't know. I just don't see them doing very well. We're going to skip forward. We got a lot of other stuff to get to. We're going to go right into our youth soccer segment, sponsored by Michigan Jaguars. Michigan Jaguars, fun, family-friendly environment, great coaches like Mo, and a lot of other people, as we talked about. They have such a great organization. It's so fun. Youth soccer is just now kicking off. We're getting into the fall here. Tournaments are starting up. I know you're knee deep in training every night. One of the things, Mo, I'd like to ask you as a coach, What are some of the things you tell your kids to go home and do? Because you practice twice a week, right? You got like a Tuesday and a Thursday practice. You and I, when we were growing up, Monday we were at home practicing and playing by ourselves, right? Tuesday we went to practice. Wednesday we went outside in the yard and practiced and played by ourselves. Thursday practice. And then Friday we practiced by ourselves, and then Saturday we had a game. Kids aren't doing that these days. What is something you tell your kids, like, do you tell them to go play outside? Do you tell them to find little pickup games? Do you tell them to find a wall and grab a ball and go kick a ball against a wall for 5 to 10 minutes? Is that what do you tell the kids?
Yeah, it's everything. It's soccer. It's an ongoing daily process. You're accountable for your progression. As much as we love to give credit to Coach Mo or Coach Craig or whatever, it's all about the player. And in anything we do, there's you have to find where the gaps are, and you have to fill those gaps. Yeah. You know, if I want to grow muscles and I sit with a coach and I say, hey, I want to grow my muscles, I want to get a six-pack, I want to do whatever it is, they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, what's your week look like? What's your 2 weeks look like? So the first thing I do with any player is basically talk about filling those gaps. So when you have a week, what's it look like? If it's those 2 days that you're with me for 90 minutes, it's not going to get it done. And it's not going to get it done. Kobe Bryant has said about the quantum leaps and the hours you put in, all those things. But for me, so with players, if you're doing Aaron Bird next level training, you're filling a gap on a given day, right? You're doing your team trainings twice a week. You have an extra day or so. What is it that you're doing throughout the course of the week? And then I hold the players accountable. So it's just like you said, every day you were playing, we didn't sit there and put a week together if I'm doing this, this, and this. But most high-level players that are going to get there are the ones that they don't have a lot of gaps day in and day out. You have days off. You got to be a kid. You got to go swim. You got to do these things. But at the end of the day, it's that. And then if I get a kid who says, well, coach, I'm going 5 days, I'm going 6 days, and I'm not seeing progress, then I look at your intensity of what you're doing, the challenge of your environment and what you're doing.
Is that something you guys do? Do you sit down with the kids? You sit down and say, listen, you want to be a better player, you're showing me this, but let's look at your week. Is that something you do with the players?
It's a must. And a lot of coaches coach they have a lot of responsibilities, so it's not easy, but you have to have a planning mechanism in place as a coach, as a club, that allows you to have the why behind what you do, right? And that's the only way. So with players, preseason, you have to have a sit-down conversation. You got to incorporate the player. Like think about it. You want a kid that's going to really want to go home and practice, and this kid really deep down wants to be a striker or a forward. Could you imagine going through an entire year where you pigeonhole this kid to play this position consistently? Not only have you shattered them mentally because it's not, so it's like we have to have this approach now to kids. It's a little bit different than, we were growing up. I don't want to go back to, using those cliches, but that's what it's about. So it's like getting to know your player is vitally important. And it's a 5-10 minute conversation. It's a little sheet you might turn in like I do. I give my players, they turn it back in. Oh, this kid actually likes to play as a defender. I've been surprised. I thought all players want to play forward. You have some that want to play in net. They want to play in the back. They want to be a midfielder, and you have to find ways to incorporate that so there's no gaps.
Wow, absolutely love it. And that's why you and the Michigan Jags are a top organization here in the state of Michigan. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. And a lot of clubs, have this. I've talked to a lot of directors from other clubs.
Sure.
And U.S. Soccer, going through this licensing process over the last 3-4 years, they're really emphasizing the why behind what you do as a club. From your style of play to the planning to the player development, there's all these competencies now that you work on. And to the credit to a lot of directors and a lot of clubs, everybody's starting to do this, and I hope that that's what will help lead our players forward and increase the depth of our player pool and create more of this, which is what we need.
Absolutely. We can go on all day about for 10 years ago where the U.S. program was and how it suffered and now how it's gotten better because of things like that. I see, obviously, Weston McKinney, Pulisic, Serginho Dest, they were probably with clubs 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago where they started to do that, right? And that's the growth. And imagine 10 years from now where this country's going to be the national teams. So
absolutely,
you're right. We're gonna talk about our team of the week right now. So We Are Soccer has partnered up with MSC, which is Michigan Soccer Central, to bring you the team of the week. Each week, we're going to bring you a local Metro Detroit area team that we feel needs to be highlighted. Like I said, brought to you by We Are Soccer and MSC, Michigan Soccer Central. Check out the Michigan Soccer Central podcast if you haven't already. This week's Team of the Week, as presented by We Are Soccer and Michigan Soccer Central, is the Anchor Bay Tars boys soccer team, coached by Nate Williams. They are ranked 12th nationally this week by Prep Soccer. The Anchor Bay team won their Balcony Invitational in Canton on August 21st, defeating all three PCEP programs, that's Plymouth, Canton, and Salem, to achieve their accomplishment. So well done to Coach Nate Williams and the Anchor Bay Tars boys soccer team. You are officially the second Team of the Week honoree. So last week we started this. The 09 girls team, coached by Tim Moore, won. And this is our second team. So congratulations, boys. Well done. If you want to be a Team of the Week candidate, please go ahead, find us on the socials, nominate your team. You can find anywhere on We Are Soccer or Michigan Soccer Central. We've Facebook, Twitter. Go ahead and nominate your team, and they'll be up for discussion. If you want to be a player who gets on one of those teams and do what Coach Mo has done, play college soccer and play at some of the top levels, one of the things I recommend you do is sign up for Next Level Training with Aaron Bird. Next Level Training with Aaron Bird, you can sign up at next-leveltraining.com. Why don't we go ahead and show you real quick this little clip from Aaron and Next Level Training. Alex, if you could throw that clip on, I would appreciate it. Next-leveltraining.com is where you can sign up to train with Aaron Bird and Next Level Training. Aaron, he's trained some of the best players in the country. Kellen Acosta for one of them, Jalen Howell, the female Herman Award winner. Aaron Bird, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of him in the training. Everybody wants to get into his training classes and camps. You know Aaron pretty well as well, right?
Yep.
He's a good
Great
dude,
guy,
great player,
great dude. You know, I know a lot of players that go and work with him, and I know on your show previously had mentioned about the profile of the players that come in there to work with them. I mean, you got to have a certain mindset and mentality, to go in there and like I said, filling in gaps. That's a great one there, with him, because what I always have gotten from feedback from players is just the intensity behind the trainings. So that's important.
It's intense. I've been out to watch some of those training sessions, and oh man, does he work those kids. But I've never heard anybody say anything bad about his training sessions. Yeah. They work hard, and it's good. So, if you want to be a Team of the Week candidate, if you want to get to the highest levels of soccer, I highly recommend you train with Aaron Bird and Next Level Training. All right, on to our local pro soccer segment, brought to you by Detroit City FC. Detroit City FC is our local professional team here. They are just awesome to watch play. They brought in a coach a couple of years back by the name of Trevor James. He's really turned around that organization. He's really doing a good job. Last week, they played at Chicago House AC. They won 1-0 on a Maxi Rodriguez goal. It was a penalty kick. I tell you what, brand new stadium they played in, awesome stadium. Detroit City FC dominated. It was only 1-0. That's all right. It was a really fun game to watch. It was an away game. I went down to the DCFC clubhouse to watch that game. So if you're in the area, if you're in Metro Detroit and you want to watch an away game, head over to the Detroit City FC clubhouse down in Detroit. Full bar, full food, awesome atmosphere. The next game coming up, for Detroit City FC is tonight. It's an away game. Chattanooga FC is who they play. Join us at the clubhouse to watch that game. It'll be a good one. And the next home game, next Saturday, September 11th, they play New Amsterdam FC. You been out to a couple games, Mo?
I have.
It's fun, right? It's good atmosphere.
Yeah. Great atmosphere. I can't help but every time I watch a game, I watch it from a coach's lens. It's kind of, sometimes I just want to sit there and just watch a game, as like a fan of the game. But just very impressed. Yep. Very impressed with their group, their style of play. Just very interesting, and it just tells you they have a very well-oiled training environment, just based on what you see as from a coaching perspective. So they're doing a phenomenal job. The fluidity and the movement of their players and their pieces in the games, and it just seems like everybody's on the same page. Yep. They have a really, really solid structure. Really impressed with them. What
I've noticed, so they play in the NISA League. What I've noticed, a bunch of the teams in NISA, the California United Strikers, San Diego FC, Chattanooga FC, New Amsterdam FC, those teams are comprised of players who 6'2", 180, just big boy soccer players. Detroit City FC goes about it in a little different style. They want to play soccer. They want to get the ball down. They want to move. They've got players, Cyrus Sadie, who's like 5'7", 120 dripping wet, but can move, man. Can absolutely move with the ball. They've got Maxi Rodriguez in the middle of the field, who seems about he seems to be about 160, 5'10", 5'11". Just wins the ball and moves it. They are not a team of big, bulky soccer players looking to hoof it long. They get the ball down and play nice soccer. I think that's attributed to their coach and what they're trying to do compared to their opponents. So it's fun to watch.
It's interesting because I think what you see sometimes from their movements is probably what you want to see from the U.S. national team, which is, you'll be sitting there watching sometimes and you'll see the DCFC 6, or holding midfielder, Tyler Adams, for example, and you'll see him make a darting run through the two center backs as the striker drops into the midfield, for example. Yeah. And you see other pieces going and providing cover. And so it's like this movement, and it's, again, like I said, it's impressive to watch from above, from the bleachers, and kind of see it all kind of in action. So like I said, I'm very impressed with them. It just tells you that they're on the same page. The training sessions are getting everybody and all the pieces on the same page. And so, all the best to them this year. It looks like they're set up for a good season. Undefeated so far this season. Hopefully that continues tonight as they take on Chattanooga FC away from home. We could do this all day. Mo, you and I could chat soccer all day, whether it be local youth teams, whether it be our local pro team, Detroit City FC, whether it be Manchester United or U.S. men's national team. We could do this all day, I have no doubt. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you. And the most important question I have of the day is, how did I do compared to Nate? That's because I'm just ultra competitive, and I don't want to lose to that guy. You did very well. Okay, all right. You did very well. I don't know if Nate knows how to explain how the 6 runs through the center backs and how the fluid, but I will say, when you guys see Mo on the street, go up, pat him on the back, shake his hand. Don't throw coins at him. When you see Nate on the street, go ahead and throw coins at him. Because, again, that's the only way I can pay Nate to show up every week. But, yeah, no, you did fine. And we're going to have to get you back on here, and we're going to have to go a little bit more in depth about it is so evident to see the knowledge you have about this game and how to play it. So we got to get you back on here again and just go a little bit more in depth on some things. So absolutely, appreciate you having me. And I will say that regardless of it's Jags, if it's Wolves, if it's Rush, whoever it may be out there, there's a soccer movement happening in Michigan, and we have to all work together. And we have to really try to move the game forward for our players. That's the most important thing. Absolutely. Whether it's young players or the clubs, whatever. Absolutely. Let's move that. Let's get that movement going, because Metro Detroit is such a hotbed of soccer, and I want to see everybody come together. We are soccer, my friend. Absolutely. That's our job here, is moving this sport forward in the state and in this country. That's going to wrap us up for this week, guys. I appreciate you viewing all the comments, all the likes on socials. If you haven't, we're on all the social channels, so please like us and share if you could. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We are on TikTok. You name it, we're on it. Very much appreciate the love if you can give it there. Thank you to our sponsors, Detroit City FC, Michigan Jaguars FC, Tim Merritt of Roth Mortgage,
and next level training. Again, we could do this all day. Very much appreciate it. Thank you to Alex in the booth. Woodward Sports. If you haven't, give Woodward Sports socials a like and a follow. Love the work they do for us. Very much appreciate them. And until next week, guys, we'll say cheers.